Okie doke, boys and girls. As I mentioned earlier tonight, Donald Trump repeated familiar lies in a town hall on another network. There is no sense in fact-checking him. We've heard it over and over and over. But we do need to solve for how news organizations should cover the former president and current presidential candidate. And we've got to get reaction from my next two guests. They are excellent ones. Former Minnesota Democratic Senator Al Franken, who hosts a podcast bearing his name, and Mark McKinnon, former advisor to both George W. Bush and John McCain. He is also among the co-hosts of The Circus on Showtime. And today, politics embodied the circus. So I'm so glad Mark is here. Senator, this is not about what Donald Trump said tonight. It's about what comes next.
Although what he said tonight was, I looked at some fact checks, and there were like, the fact checks I saw each had like 6 fact checks.
My
and there had to be
was he'll go after E. Jean Carroll, he will go after Ukraine, he'll go after every other country in Europe. But Putin, did he commit war crimes? We don't need to get into that tonight.
Well, my favorite lie tonight was we have run out of ammunition. Our military has run out of ammunition. We have no ammunition, Mark.
That is a lie. That is a lie.
I think we have some ammunition. Otherwise, the Russians should just come over the Arctic Circle and invade us.
But what do we do?
Oh, what does the media do?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
what does the American people do? What does the media do, right? The truth matters, but only if you hear it. Millions of people hear that.
Okay, one of the things the media shouldn't do is what they did in 2016, where they went to every rally. Do you remember that? Every rally on, it started on CNN, but it was here, that as soon as his plane started circling the airport, they'd cut to, Trump's going to do a rally.
But you can't ignore a presidential candidate, and that's what he might end up being.
He will be a presidential candidate, but you don't have to sit on his rally for 3 hours. And they actually were doing that during the nominating process. So they shouldn't do that. They just gave him, there was no oxygen for the other candidates. There still will be a primary race. He's still going to be indicted many, many other times. What we saw tonight was, I'm not sure how CNN picked this, Republicans hadn't decided yet. Because, there'd be like, well, this is Jenny, and she hasn't decided. President Trump is so great to meet. I mean, I don't know how that crowd was vetted. So we could have taken maybe the wrong inference from that crowd. Maybe, or maybe it was exactly what we saw, which was that none of these guys have a chance. But what I remember is, like, what DeSantis said tonight is what? That it wasn't enough guns.
Take a harder stance on guns.
Didn't take enough stance on guns. Okay, how about saying he lied a lot? And how about just saying, because that's what happened last time. Anybody who thought he had it, they didn't, in 2016, they all thought he doesn't have a chance, and I want to be second, right? This is early on in the nominating process. So I'm not going to criticize him. I want to inherit his people. Now, so the only people who are attacking him now are Asa Hutchinson, like people who aren't going to get the nomination. And someone's, if DeSantis is actually going to go for this, he should go for it.
Mr. McKinnon?
Well, I'll take a little different view. I mean, first of all, there's all the lies, obviously. It's an impossible to fact check, despite, fairly aggressive efforts to do so, because almost everything's a lie. But think about the things that weren't a lie. I mean, to me, the value of seeing Donald Trump is for the rest of the country to learn things like we did tonight. Like, he's going to pardon all the rioters. Like, he's going to support family separation at the border again. Like, he doesn't care about he basically endorses sexual assault. He still refuses to admit the 2020, he's still extending the fraud idea, taking an extreme position on abortion, still is, giving it to both sides on Ukraine and Russia. And by the way, said that, let's just see what happens if we don't pay our debt. So I think we actually learned a lot of things beyond the lies about things that Trump would actually do that are really scary.
And Joe Biden's fundraising response was, do you really want 4 more years of that? But how do Democrats, all who watch that, who think lots of things went wrong in 2016, where do they go from here?
Democrats, are you talking about the media, or you're talking
about Democrats? What do Democratic lawmakers? What did Democrats in Congress? What does Joe Biden do? They watch that. He's the likely nominee they're running against. He's potentially leading the Republican Party. What do Democrats learn from this? What should they do?
Well, they hit this. The message of this guy is, we know who this guy is. He lied us into a insurrection. This is who he is. I believe we win that. I believe this will be a closer election than we want it to be, but I believe we win that. Americans did not like January 6th, and we win that. And also, I believe we win on Dobbs. I mean, this. You know, the Republican Party now, and one of the lies today was that Democrats are believing in infanticide, right? He said this. We got to take it to him.
Yeah, I mean, Asa Hutchinson tried to say to me last night, this idea that, you know, there's all these women out there getting abortions at 9 months. That's just not even a fact, even remotely a fact.
No, it's not. Yes, and Asa Hutchinson was saying that. Oh, great. Well, there it goes. Now he can't. Now he maybe could win. We have to go after him. Just go after him. We just got to go after him.